Get him.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Varsity Aces show. I'm sports writer Greg Matora for NorthJersey.com and The Record. Tonight's topic, football. We just completed the first round of New Jersey's state football playoffs, and we have a couple of guests, coaches and players whose teams won incredibly exciting first-round games as our guests. So let's bring them right in, starting with Matt Demarest, Passaic Tech coach, and his player, Elijah Fields, senior linebacker and fullback. Gentlemen, how are you?
Good.
Great.
Good and great. Okay. All right. And then doubling up in the corner there in the Ridgefield Park weightlifting room, training room, we have Coach Chris Rapp. And then we have senior two-way lineman Richie Martinez. Gentlemen, how are you?
I'm great. Better than good.
Okay, all right. That's an upgrade from earlier. Elijah, we're going to try to bring you up from good. I'm doing very well right now. Matt, let's start with you. You are here because Passaic Tech won a 3-overtime game in its North 1 Group 5 opener. You beat Montclair 20-14. Again, 3 overtimes. Kansas tiebreaker was introduced in New Jersey in the 1990s. Could you talk about the overall experience of just getting to regulation tied at 7 and then surviving 3 overtimes?
You know, the Montclair is well coached, balanced, very similar to us. We were fortunate, to keep that game close early. Both of us had opportunities to score other times and didn't take that, weren't able to take advantage of it. But when we got to that, we felt confident when we got to that overtime session. We had beaten Eastside earlier in the season in overtime. Our players were familiar with the process, although we were not familiar with the triple overtime process. The third overtime, you have to go for 2. So our just mindset was play hard, one play at a time. We scored first. Then they answered. Then both of us went unscored upon in the second overtime session, and we scored in the third overtime, and were able to hold them defensively. It was just a great experience for the players. They worked so darn hard this year, and they were rewarded for their efforts.
Elijah, question for you. How helpful, if at all, if that's the right word, is it to have played an overtime game earlier in the season? Did that give you more confidence? Did you not think about that as you went into the first overtime with Montclair?
I mean, it was pretty good. Everybody was confident. Everybody knew what they were doing. Everybody was used to the pressure from the last game from Eastside, and pretty much everybody just played their game. Everybody played with intensity.
All right. Over to Ridgefield Park. Gentlemen, not quite a triple overtime game, but you did win your playoff game over Lenape Valley 22-21. Scoring a touchdown in the final minute, 35-yard touchdown, as you pointed out, on a second and 30 or a third and 30? Second and 30. It was long and 30. Chris, could you talk about that experience of getting down to the final minute of a playoff game? Ridgefield Park hasn't won a home playoff game, I think, in about 7 years.
I mean, it's just unreal. It's after last season going 0-3 and not really having a season, because when you can't play consistently and you get shut down a couple times, the player's vision is just it's like tunnel vision, and then, it was a matter of getting the feel for it after pretty much playing, pretty much missing a whole year. So getting the feel for it. And then when it came down to that time, I trusted all our players. It's, the 10th game of the year, and our playmakers have been making plays in big time moments, and it was just another time for them to step up. We went to second and 30, and sometimes we love to make it hard. When it's too easy, it doesn't really end up good, but we trusted our line. Richie, he has not let up a sack all year, and we trusted them to protect Brevin like they have, and we only let up 2 sacks all year. And, and this was just another example of the line doing their job and Brevin stepping up and making a play, and our receivers, making a huge play as they always have been.
Now, Richie, for you again, 2nd and 30, as Chris pointed out, and Cooney threw the 35-yard touchdown pass to Jalexon Pimentel. Did I say that right? I don't want to get roughed up when I cover your game this weekend, get blindsided. But, what's going through your head when it's 2nd and 30 in the final minute and you're down a touchdown?
I'm telling my guys up front, like the whole line, we can't keep shooting ourselves in the foot and like getting flags and throwing ourselves in like holes, like 2nd and 30. And then I know like my playmakers, like Andrew Vargas, Jalexon Pimentel, the running backs, Brevin Cooney, they're gonna make plays for us and help us out. And they're gonna get us out of that deficit and score the touchdown for us.
And I do want to add that Andrew Vargas did add the extra point. If not, you're going into your first overtime. And again, Chris alluded to last year, the Scarlets were only able to play 3 games last year due to the pandemic. That was the second fewest in North Jersey. Only Bergen Tech playing 2 games and shutting it down, played fewer games. Chris, can you talk about how good it feels to be 8-2 and be a first-round playoff winner 1 season after only being able to play 3 games? Got to be a lot of heartbreak there.
Yeah, I mean, it came down to and to steal a phrase from Coach Dunn, who we're playing this weekend, you got to lose the big one before you could win it. We were hoping that last year we could get some games under our belt, play in some close games, pull a couple out, hopefully pull out the big one. But if we lose it, hey, we got another year with these seniors, this big senior class. But we weren't able to do that. So to be able to get to this point right now, it's really unbelievable, because where we're working out in the shack with a foot of snow in the ground outside, bench pressing, flipping a 350-pound tire, with a small group of guys. We could have easily got down on ourselves after a year like that, but they just came in here and they worked no matter what the temperature, what the weather, and that's the thing that we do. It's always been about, it's working hard in the off season, and you do the right things, and then good things are going to happen on the field. And it has been happening this year. 8-2 is one of the best marks we've ever had here at Ridgefield Park, and it's all a testament to this group of kids. I can't take credit for it. I mean, I've got the best job in the world with these guys.
We might have to go back to the 1990s when the Scarlets won back-to-back sectional titles to find a record that's been this good. I could be wrong. I'd have to go look that up. Richie, again, for you to only play 3 games last year has got to be a bummer. How much harder, if at all, does that make you work coming into this season?
I feel a lot of our guys embrace that and really take it as motivation to show everybody what we could do this year and show everybody that we can actually play the game. That we're going to be a winning team, and our goal is a state championship.
All right, now over to the Passaic Tech huddle here. Matt, you've played some tough games. You played Northern Highlands earlier this season. I covered that game. They are the top-ranked public school in New Jersey right now, number 3 in the USA Today network, top 25. There are the scores up there. What did you learn from that game, and what has gone right for you over the course of this season to put you in position to win that 3 overtime game against Montclair in the first round of the playoffs?
To follow up on what Chris just mentioned about last year, we had to teach how to practice. We had to teach how to work together. We had to teach how to be together, to deal with, different things that go on in the game. I think that was a great opportunity. We're going against a Division I quarterback. You find out some of your strengths and weaknesses. I know everybody wants to be full speed as quick as you can, but sometimes you need to learn, and sometimes you have to see where you have to make your adjustments, and then you have to learn that the other team's there to play too. And we took one on the chin there, and we took one on the chin against Clifton. 2 great teams. Almost every team every team in our division made the playoffs. All 6 of us, and then 5 of the 6 teams in our division are in the second round of the playoffs. So we were in battles every week, and I think that was a testament to our preparation. And the old Tappan gave us another shot in the chin, and that was because we forgot what we had to do to win. and how hard it is to win. And that got us recentered. So, I think our losses came in times of the year. It gave us the ability to grow and develop. No, you don't want to lose. But in each one of them, we didn't follow it up with a loss. The kids didn't quit. They came back, say, we don't want that feeling again. They worked harder the next week. And we learned from each one of them. It's great to say how well you play in the wins, but sometimes the losses teach you a heck of a lot more. And I think that's what happened so far.
Elijah, to play more. How does that feel to, and I believe you only won a couple of games last year, if I'm not mistaken. How does it feel to come back and be able to play a full regular season from a player's perspective?
It feels good to play a regular season again. It feels like back in 2019, 2018, where we could play a full season and actually have fun again. Because, COVID and all that, going back home, stressing and all that. So it feels good to play again back at home with a whole bunch of intensity. Yeah.
Now, this time we're going to stay in the Passaic Tech huddle, but this question is for everybody. Matt, we'll start with you. How much of it from a mental health perspective is it important to be able to play a full slate of games in your sport?
It's the ultimate team sport. I'll argue this with anybody. I know I can confidently speak for Chris on this. I do not think people realize how important this sport is for not only us, the kids, society. It builds men. It builds teamwork. It builds toughness. It builds overcoming adversity. There are leaders. There are people that we need to look for to help take us into this next generation. It was taken from us last year. There was no locker room. I don't know if anybody realized how important a football locker room is in a football program or in any sport. The locker room is where the team building happens. It's where the trust develops. It's where it's everything that's important in what we do. The games are great, but if you can see the smiles that occur when kids are getting changed in the locker room and they're getting ready to go out for practice, that's the real stuff. So if you ask me what happened last year, that we didn't get that. It was there was no getting together. It's get out of the locker room, put your mask on, do all that stuff. There was no. It took away the things that made football great, and I think that this year the importance was, we were able to prepare, build the week, see how life is. That's the way your life is. You go from one step to the other, and that's what we got back. We were able to use the locker room more, to bond, to grow. The full season, yeah, that's important, but the other things I think are even more.
Now, Elijah, Matt alluded to the team building. You go to a school that draws players from virtually, I guess, every town in Passaic County. How important is team building for Passaic Tech football program?
Team building is actually very important because half of the kids that you come together and play with are kids that you used to play against in Little League. So it's different playing with kids from a different town and coming together and actually executing to play the game of football.
All right, Ridgefield Park huddle, over to you. Same question, Chris. We'll start with you. How important is the mental health aspect in being able to play a full regular season and beyond?
I completely agree with everything that Matt said. It's the locker room, man. It's what I tell the kids every day. Other than I love them, and just to appreciate all the moments that they have together. You got to do what you can when you can, so you don't wish you could have when you should have. That's what I tell them. And it's just when it was taken away from us. I remember we were going into the first game on Wednesday before we were about to play Westwood, and we just started, late September 14th. The game was on October 2nd, and we got the call that someone had COVID and we had to shut down. When I had to have that Zoom meeting with the kids to tell them, I could see the tears, how much work they put in through tough circumstances. It felt like, and it could have been a lot of in our heads too, and everyone's heads, just like people were out to get us. When we would be doing stuff, trying to stay outside and work out, it just felt like there was always someone there trying to knock you down. So on top of, worrying about staying safe and thinking that you're being safe and doing things, it really takes a toll, and you feel like you get frustrated. And I saw that too at the end of the year. Without the locker room, it's just like there was no bonding between the players. So how do you play together when we can't do the things like, the motivational stuff that we do after Thursday practices before the game? You can't do that. You can't talk with your friends about what's going on, over the weekend, or you can't talk with the coaches and just talk about stuff other than football too. It has to be like Coach Matt said, just rush in, rush out, and there's just no locker room. I always tell them too, even when I played in college and everything, it was my favorite things I don't talk about the plays on the field. I talk about the things that happen in the locker rooms, on the bus rides to games. And, it's just, I'm so grateful. And, it just makes me so happy that, unfortunate for the seniors last year, but this year I have such a deep bond with these kids, working out with them 5 to 6 times a year for the last 4 years. To be able to enjoy this locker room atmosphere with them, it's, I'm just like the happiest man alive for that. And it changes my mental state to be way more positive.
Now, of course, I'm glad both coaches are talking about the importance of the locker room, since Richie, you're in the locker room right there. So we got a nice view of that. I've been in there when there's been a lot of celebrations. I've been in there when there's been dead silence after a bad loss. How significant is it to be able to get back with your teammates and even be able to get back into the locker room and have some time together before and after practice, before and after the games?
I feel like the best part of most of our days here are in the locker room. Like on the field's always fun, like practicing, playing. But I feel like you really build like the brotherhood and connection in the locker room. As Coach said, you have memorable times in the locker room. Like those are the times that you remember more than playing on the field. And like when you graduate, like after this year, you're gonna miss these guys. Like you're never really gonna have to do this again. You'll never be able to like hang out with them in the locker room, get ready for practice, talk about your days. It's more or less like over. And like building this brotherhood is one of the most important things that we did all season.
Okay, all right. Final round of questioning. We've talked about the past. We talked about last weekend. Now we're going to take a look ahead. We're going to start with Ridgefield Park. You are going to be playing this Friday in a semifinal at Rutherford. Rutherford on a hot streak. They won the NJIC championship. You're going to be playing at their house, Tryon Field, 6 o'clock down at Rutherford. And the Rutherford coach, Steve Dunn, well, he is the former Ridgefield Park coach. So, Chris, if you want to start with that, talking about your sectional semifinal matchup and what you need to do to put yourself in position to win.
Coach Dunn, never heard of him. No, I'm just kidding. Dunn's a great coach. And we actually had a combined practice with them right down here in the pit in July. And then we actually met with them for our divisional championship in Hasbrook Heights 7-on-7. And they beat us. And then we actually had a scrimmage against them in August too, our first scrimmage. And so we know each other well. We know their kids. It's a bunch of great kids, really hardworking kids, just like here in Ridgefield Park. And Coach Dunn is still a great friend of mine, and I consider him like a mentor. He was here before me, so we talked a lot, and it's I'm sure it'll be a little more awkward for him having to go against the guys that he coached at a point, but it's just been for preparation like normal, for not normal, because I tell them, you need to prepare. Every single kid all the way down to the scout team needs to prepare to play the best game they ever have in their lives. Better than last week. We said it last week. We came out, we did it in a really tough game against Lenape Valley, and now they just need to prepare again, because Rutherford, they're the number 1 seed for a reason. They're always in the right spot. Coach Dunn has them playing hard, and those kids over there, they're really tough, and they're gonna make us work for everything that we want to get. So.
Richie, I'm sure you've taken a peek at film of them. And again, as Chris pointed out, you scrimmaged against them. What do you think that the Scarlets need to do to put themselves in position to win that game?
As Coach said, they're always going to be in the right spot. So what we're going to have to do as a team, no matter what we're doing, we're going to have to execute. Like, whatever we're doing, we're going to have to execute. If we're running the ball, we have to be in the right spot, block up. If we're on our defense, we have to maintain gap responsibility. We can't be, like, flying all over the field. This is going to be a really, like, fundamental game. Like, you have to do what you were taught to do, or bad things are going to happen.
Okay, and now same line of questioning over to Passaic Tech. Matt, you are at Ridgewood this weekend. You've had a couple of terrific matchups with them over the last couple of years. I think your last playoff game was actually against Ridgewood, a 10-7 loss. You've had some real rock'em sock'em bouts with them. Could you talk about what you need to do to put yourself in position to beat Ridgewood this Friday night?
First, to give the respect to Chuck Johnson for what he has done, coming back, maintaining what he was doing before. His program is outstanding success that he's done, and just getting those kids to play so darn hard. We just have to be consistent. Ridgewood forces you to be consistent, and if you're not consistent, then they're going to take advantage of it. And a lot of teams have trouble being consistent against them. So if we're able to stay consistent, we're hoping we're going to be able to stay in that ball game with them and, hold on to the ball. Last time we played, we couldn't hold on to the ball. So a lot of things. They put a lot of pressure on you to be a consistent football team, to have a lot of teamwork, work together, do your job. They do play wing T. So my defense coordinator goes crazy every time we got to get ready to play him. So we're open. We're excited for the opportunity. That's it. We talk about opportunity a lot, and this is an opportunity that we weren't given last year. So we're going to do our best to take advantage.
Elijah, you're going to get the final word. Same question over to you. You're going to be at linebacker on defense against Ridgewood's wing T. I'm sure you've seen film of them by now. What is it that PCT needs to do to put itself in position to win that game this weekend?
We need to stay consistent and disciplined. Everybody needs to do their job and basically play their whole and do what they got to do. Ain't not much to it.
Okay. All right. Well, that completes this segment of the show. Again, I want to thank my guests from Passaic Tech, Coach Matt Demarest and Senior Elijah Fields. Thank you. And from Ridgefield Park, we have Coach Chris Rapp and Senior Richie Martinez. Good luck to all of you this weekend. And we now transition over to my teammate, Darren Cooper, who will be making his picks for the second weekend of the playoffs. So take it away, Darren.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Mature. Great to see you. Great show as always. Ridgefield Park is a heck of a story. It is time for our pick segment, my pick segment for the second/first round of the playoffs, depending if you're talking about public or non-public. We got 5 big games on the slate here tonight. And don't forget, though, you can read all my picks tomorrow on NorthJersey.com. Yes, there's more. We're going to start with a Group 1 battle, Beckton at Park Ridge. Interesting scene at the end of the Beckton-Wallington game. Go up to Coach Jack Mayer of Beckton. Hey, what do you think about playing Park Ridge? And he says, been a while since we played them. And I quick kind of pause. I think he's kidding for a second. Like, y'all played last year, remember Beckton, the big shutout, everything, and then they played Park Ridge in the conference semifinals. Of course, they shut them out, and Beckton went on to win the NJIC title. So Park Ridge gets another shot at them. That is their first meeting since then. I guess it just goes to show how last year is like a blur, right? For everybody. Last year's a blur. It was horrible. It was terrible. So I forgive Jack for this one. The difference, I think, in this game, I think it's going to be close, but Park Ridge got some mooses up front. Mooses. Oh, my goodness. That's not a plural word. They've got some big guys up front, and I think they make the difference. I'm not going to drop any names just yet, but there's some Division I talent up front for Park Ridge. I like the Owls to win this playoff game. NJIC, and yes, Jack, you have played him before. All right, next up, it is the Steve Dunn Bowl at Tryon Field, and he is so thrilled that I'm talking about him right now. I know personally that it was not an easy decision for Steve to leave Ridgefield Park, but he had to go back to Rutherford where he cut his bones as an assistant coach, just was loyal to that program right there. So that is, of course, the easy storyline going in. But on the field itself, man, these are two teams that have just shown a resiliency and the ability to win. I think it's going to be another good game. I like Rutherford just a hair because, one, I don't want them to, X me out and torture me again if I pick against them. But I just like Rutherford to make a few more plays. I like their quarterback, Van Weber. Pat Cerule's been, put him on the all-county team. Please, everybody, put him on the all-county team. He could be on my all-county team. So my pick in the Steve Dunn Bowl is for Steve Dunn to shake a lot of hands after the game and for Rutherford to win. All right, my upset pick of the week. Let's talk Old Tappan at West Morris. I was talking to one coach, and he was telling me how, in our 9 regular season games, we played 8 playoff teams, and it was not Brian Dunn at Old Tappan, but I did the research. Did you know Old Tappan played 8 playoff teams in their 9 regular season games? So I don't think anyone's played a tougher schedule than Old Tappan. I love the fact that the Golden Knights got a de facto bye because of Nutley having to forfeit. So I'm picking Old Tappan for the upset. I think Old Tappan is a good team with a so-so record because of the schedule they played. So my upset pick, Old Tappan. All right. Now, big boys, Group 5, Passaic Tech at Ridgewood. Weird things happen when these two teams play. I don't know what it is. If you looked at both teams coming out of the tunnel, you might look over and be like, oh, well, Passaic Tech's going to win. And then, Ridgewood just usually finds a way to win. I think they've won the last 4 meetings. These teams have played in the playoffs a bunch of times, played in sectional finals a bunch of times. It's been an interesting year for both teams. What do you mean by when you say that, Darren? Well, because both teams have shown the ability to be really good, and both teams have shown the ability to be not so good. So which team's going to show up? I think both teams play real hard. And, Ridgewood I think they're playing to win for Chuck Johnson. I really do. I think they're playing to win for Chuck Johnson. So my pick, Passaic Tech Ridgewood, is the Maroons. All right. Now, last one. Saturday afternoon, back at Tony Carthage Field, Bosco St. Joe's. Rematch from just a couple of weeks ago. St. Joe's beat Bosco, I believe it was 21-14. Bosco, 4 turnovers. Count them in the game. 4 turnovers. I know last week I talked all about rematches, and now 80% of the time, the team that won the first game won the second game. But I just can't see all right. I just can't see Bosco turning the ball over again 4 times. And so 2 teams that are so even, I feel like Bosco's going to get a break maybe in the 4th quarter. Maybe they get a turnover in the 4th quarter. So I'm going to go against the rematch corollary here. My pick at Carthage Field will be Don Bosco Prep, and they'll probably play St. Augustine in the semifinals. All right, that'll wrap things up for me for my pick segment. Remember, you can read all my picks in our legacy product. That's what we call the newspaper, and on NorthJersey.com. Back to you, Mr. Matura.
Thanks very much, Darren. I really appreciate it. Well, that about wraps it up. I want to thank you all for all watching the show here. Enjoy the second weekend of the New Jersey football playoffs. For Darren Cooper, I'm Greg Matura for NorthJersey.com and The Record, and this has been Varsity Aces Show. Have a great weekend.